Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I'm Benjie Messer, this congregation's music director. I use he, him pronouns. Today I'm joined by Bob Davis on bass and Sebastian Hoskins on guitar. This weekend is the Phoenix Pride celebration. Happy Pride. Many of our congregation's members, yes, indeed. Many of our congregation's members are right now on our congregation's float, waiting to step off in the parade, led by our minister, Rev. Christine Dance. You can see them on the inset on the screen there, getting some live footage from one of their phones. And our service here in the sanctuary celebrates all who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, queer, in all of their beauty and goodness. We begin with the African American spiritual, "There is more love somewhere." Please rise in body or in spirit and sing with us. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. And there is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. And happiness. There is happiness somewhere. There is happiness somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is happiness somewhere. And there's more joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere. And more love. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Please remain standing for our chalice lighting.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Gary Ezzell, and I have the privilege of being your worship associate this morning. Join me as we recite our congregation's covenant, and Maria Rundy lights our chalice. If you're watching remotely and you have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship. Thus do we covenant. Thank you. Please be seated.
Again, welcome to all of you. I hope you feel welcome here. Hello to those in the room, and hello to those watching on video as well. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, one that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. If you're new here, I'm glad you found us. Is there anyone new here? Yeah, all right, fantastic. Try a few different Sundays. They're often fairly different. I have a few announcements about our community before we really settle into worship. Our civic engagement team is collecting signatures for Arizona abortion access petitions. Hey, Brad, at the back table, starting today. Go ahead and sign that if you're interested, and if you want to collect signatures yourself, they will train you. Next Sunday is a service here about remembering our ancestors who have died. Please bring a photo of an ancestor of yours next Sunday to decorate the altar that we will build together. And next Sunday after the service, there are 3 one-time special events that I need to announce now. First, the Phoenix Anarchists Federation will be holding a bake sale on the patio to raise money for Arizona folks who were defending the forest in Atlanta and are facing charges. Punks and pie. Also, UUCP's refugee team next Sunday will introduce a volunteer opportunity to support a refugee family for 3 months. They recently had a really wonderful experience supporting a family of 11 from Afghanistan. They'll meet in room 11 next Sunday after service. And third, next Sunday after service, we'll have a short tour of our memorial garden, including the story of the statues. And that tour will start at noon. And our auction is back, and its theme is All Aboard. We want you to be at the station, that's here in the sanctuary, when the train arrives. That is at 5 p.m. on Saturday, November 11th. That train will be carrying free pizza and cookies and soft drinks, and also wine and beer for a small fee. We'll also be carrying super fun items and events in both silent auction and live auction formats. Some of those are already on the train, but we could use more donations. If you have a croquet set that's sitting unused because you never have enough people over to play, if you could offer a group lesson in knitting, or take some folks on a favorite hike, or you've been meaning to make lasagna. You've got lasagna noodles in the cupboard, but it's just too much food for you. Pick a date, talk to our entertaining auctioneers, Duke and Herb, or look for the donation link in this week's email. You'll have a great party. You'll be supporting the congregation. We could also use a few more folks to help with the auction night itself. And of course, it's not just for members. Invite friends to the auction and to the parties you win. All aboard. Okay, that's all of our announcements. Let's take a moment to settle our minds as our worship begins.
Our opening words for this sacred time come from Elizabeth Ketchum, entitled, "May We Live the Spirit of Pride." With gratitude for the freedom to be our true, authentic selves, may we live the spirit of pride. With the courage that comes from challenging fear, may we live the spirit of pride. With sorrow for those who could not be with us here today, and in honor of those who died of AIDS or who lost their lives, may we live the spirit of pride. With grief for those whose pain was unbearable and who left us too soon, may we live the spirit of pride. Looking ahead to justice still withheld, may we live the spirit of pride. With the confidence that a sense of community banishes isolation and loneliness, may we live the spirit of pride. With the rainbow flag flying high, a sense of beloved community among us, and the joy that comes from making new connections, may we live the spirit of pride. Now, live from downtown Phoenix, let's check in with our congregation's Pride Parade.
Okay, here we go, live! Tell me if I say cut or something. Happy Pride! Happy Pride, UUCP, live from the Pride Parade. We are so excited to be here. The energy is electric. There are balloons, there are people, there are t-shirts. There is just so much love here. We are so glad to be joining you in the sanctuary where you are also celebrating Pride. You are in for a treat today. And I just want to say how important it is that we are also here. We've already gotten comments about how important it is for places of faith to be in this parade, for us to be visible, to have our love showing. We've got a whole float. It's accessible. We've got our banners. We've got a decorated pride. And we have bubbles and are handing out bubbles. So we love you, UU Congregation of Phoenix. Have a beautiful worship. We love you so much. Mwah.
Gosh, I have to be here. Each week, we give half of our offering to a local organization that shares our values. For October 2023, our Share the Plate partner is Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, or BLUU. Blue is committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within Unitarian Universalism, providing support, information, and resources for Black Unitarian Universalists, and justice-making and liberation for Black people throughout our faith. Half of the money that Blue gets today will go to an affordable housing project in Minneapolis for Black and Indigenous peoples. Stable and affordable housing builds wealth in families and creates stability in the community. Your gift today will help lower the monthly payment for residents from $1,800 to $1,200, allowing Black and Indigenous families to survive. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for helping us pass the plate. Thank you for that music. In this community, we make time to share pieces of our lives with one another. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or with tears, We encourage you to share about it. Your experience matters. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or sorrow, please type it into the chat, a brief note of what is in your heart today, and I will read out loud what you share. Next time, if you wish to share a joy or sorrow in the sanctuary, please fill out one of the joy or sorrows cards that are on the table in the back of the sanctuary. Before I share our joys and sorrows, let us center ourselves with a moment of stillness. Looking at what's online, I hope I get this name right, from Elise Nisinindi. Joy, I will be leading hymns at a Methodist church in Las Vegas this afternoon. Thanks to Benjie for making me play the hymns on guitar. You prepared me for this gig. Good. And a joy from the Stevenson Brown family about Leo. Joy at Leo's return. Hi, Leo. From the Abota Fall Festival in Tucson, where he played with McClintock High School's chamber orchestra, which won Superior with Distinction. And we have some sorrows to share. One is from Christine Carmona, who shares that she is needing to find a new place to live, which is difficult, and she needs to be a new place by February. So if you have any place at all that you could offer or steer her to, please contact Christine or the office here. And both a sorrow and a joy from Bonnie Fraser. Lynn Westmoreland, who many of you may know, who led a death cafe over Zoom since the start of COVID, had a stroke several months ago, but is at home recovering. So, tough news and good news. And Sam Kirkland and Michelle Morgan are sad to announce that Sam's father transitioned on Tuesday in Michigan. They'd like to thank everyone for their healing thoughts and prayers during this tremendously difficult period. And now for a moment of meditation and prayer, we bring you our ministerial intern, Brigitte Vieira, from the Pride Parade.
Hello, beloveds. My name is Brigitte Vieira, and it is good to join you here, live on top of our moving float. Please join me in a moment of prayer. Spirit and life and love, thank you for this beautiful day. As we gather to celebrate not just the joys, but also the sorrows, may we take a moment to love one another, to take care of one another, and remember that we are bound in love.
Like this one I've already got.
And now let us take a moment of mindful joy spotting.
Can I take that one?
Center into your body. Take a moment to breathe in and breathe out, and reflect on a moment of joy, a time of celebration. Let that joy fill you, replenish you, and nourish you. And as you go about your day, may you continue to spot the joy in your life. We do this in love and liberation. We make time to celebrate, and we remember that we love one another. A joyful celebration here at the Pride. May you all be loved. May it be so.
Oh, thanks, Brigitte. She can't hear us. She'll watch the video later, maybe. In this next song, Libby Roderick asks, How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? Let's sing it together now with all of our LGBTQ folks in mind. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul again. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. One more time. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Thanks all.
Today, instead of a sermon, we feature reflections and testimonies from several of our elders who identified as part of the queer community. First, we'll hear from Art DuPont. Art is at the parade, so we have a video from him.
Good morning and happy Pride. I am sending you this message from my favorite room in our home. It's the bathroom. It is my favorite room because it holds treasures collected from many past prides and travel around the world. I love Pride. For me, it symbolizes a beginning, a new life where I can be my real self. Jerry, my partner, and I have lived together for 30 years. And we met walking in the park one night in June. Our conversation was shared. With our conversation, we shared the information about our current lives. They couldn't have been more different. We are both in our 50s. He had lived alone for much of his adult life. I was married for 34 years and was parenting 2 grandchildren. We also discovered that his father and my mother were practically roommates in a nursing home. They were neighbors. And that was a big coincidence. We started sharing time together whenever possible. We found out that we were made to be together. I had been living a secret double life for years. It was something that really bothered me. I had been having thoughts of suicide. Meeting Jerry saved me. In September of that year, someone outed me to my wife. She was very angry with me, and I understand that. We spent days trying to figure out what's going to happen in our own relationship. My wife was against divorce. After many days of tears, I decided that I would leave and I would move in with Jerry, but I would not file for divorce. I ended up moving in with Jerry on September 11th of 1995. All our lives were changed forever. My wife got over being angry over time. we started sharing family get-togethers, and Jerry got used to not living alone. It was quite a change for him. He handled it like a pro. He was a new grandfather overnight, and a good one too. We all got used to our own new situations and even went on a cruise together. It was quite a change for him. People on board began speculating as to who was who in our family. Our new family had a great time, and the grandkids loved it. Sadly, several years into my new life, my wife had a stroke, and I took over taking care of her and the grandchildren until she was well enough to take over. Jerry was a support in all of this. A very special pride for us was when my two grandchildren, who were very young, walked with us in a Phoenix Pride Parade, and they just loved it. They passed out things on the side of the road for everyone. And my wife is now in assisted living with dementia, and Jerry and I moved her there together. I visit her as much as possible, helping her play bingo, and we are a special family.
Yes. And now I invite Bonnie Fraser to the pulpit.
Good morning. I'm Bonnie Fraser, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm here this morning as an old dyke to share glimpses of my journey. I grew up in the mountains of Colorado with three brothers in the 1950s. My identity was cowboy. Being called a girl was an insult. I was quite clear girls had to dedicate their lives to pleasing and advancing their husbands and were meanwhile shallow and silly and just awful. Eventually, I did get married to a nice man, and we both usually put his dreams and his needs before mine. We split after 7 years. In the late 70s, I moved to Phoenix and connected with a very active women's community, mostly closeted, mostly led by lesbians. We had bookstores and dances and classes and retreats and amazing music performances. Famous lesbian singers that went around the country and gave just wonderful performances, and there was so much energy and vigor and noise and celebration. And we're pretty closeted because it was pretty risky in those days. But I realized that lesbian was the most accurate, most joyful label for me. In 1981, I helped organize and then walked in the Lesbian Gay Rights March, the first ever in Phoenix. I even have the t-shirt, the official t-shirt. I don't wear things that tight across the bosom anymore. We were all afraid. We were afraid that there would be so few people willing to risk being public that it was going to be an embarrassingly small march. So everyone and their friends all came out. We had 600 to 700 people there. A group of teachers wore paper bags, grocery bags, over their heads because if they had been recognized, they would have been fired. Other women risked losing custody of their children. The yearly event has since become a pride parade, as we've seen this morning. Lesbian and gay people are more accepted today, and we're more into the celebrating mode than the give us our rights, but we now realize we're noticing that other related groups still need to be defended and appreciated. We may need to go back to having rights marches for our many trans, bi, etc. people. I wanted a lesbian partner, but I was not interested in the group who were into butch femme roles, was not comfortable with the group who defined as separatists and wanted no interaction with men. But I did find just the right woman at a CODA meeting. It's 12-step. We were married and together for 15 years, and she's still my good friend, and out there probably watching. When AIDS hit Phoenix in the mid-'80s, gay men lost jobs and friends. They were being thrown out of their homes by families and landlords. They were sometimes even denied services by frightened doctors and nurses. Hundreds of gay men were dying from AIDS across the nation and here in Phoenix. Lesbians, even those who the year before had been adamant separatists, stepped up. The workshops on how to be an AIDS buddy were full of lesbians. We were hospice services for 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old men. We learned how to meet emotional and practical needs and how to advocate for medical needs. We were also regular attenders at funerals. For the last 40 years, lesbian communities in Phoenix and in Burlington, Vermont, have given me consistent support and have taught me to claim my own strength. This excerpt from an interview in some lesbian magazine I read somewhere. How long did it take you to fix the engine? 6 months and 2 days. What? 6 months to think it was going to be too hard and I could not do it. 1 day to share my fears with a group of lesbians, and 1 day to complete the job. My lesbian friends continue to remind me to have courage to tackle difficult situations, to take my goals seriously, to be a powerful woman, to speak my truth, to boldly walk my own spiritual path, to know that I'm an asset in a group, even if I talk more than some people and even if I go really deep emotionally, that I'm still welcome and loved. I often claim the name Goddess for the sacred energy of life, and I connect with this energy both inside myself and beyond myself. I grow in my ability to human others. I guess if you can't be a lesbian, then the next best thing would be to be a member of UUCP.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for speaking and giving us that perspective. Everyone, let's sing a song that has a lot of historical weight in the gay rights movement that's been in our hymnal for a long time as well. Please feel free to stand. This is We Are a Gentle, Angry People by Holly Nair.
And now we invite Walt Orty to our pulpit.
Hello. Just a little nervous, so bear with me. About my wedding ring, my wedding rings, I don't know really whether it's singular or plural. When I was in college, a friend of mine who was also a silversmith made a simple silver band that I admired so much that he finally gave it to me. I did not hint about that much. Really, I didn't. When my partner Tim and I got together, we had a marriage ceremony at the Unitarian Universalist Society at Albany, New York. And mind you, this was in 1976, upstate New York in 1976. John Corrado, who was the minister, married us. He made us go through the marriage counseling like everybody else has to do. When you ask for equality, be careful, you might get it. A few years after that, we moved to Arizona. We went tubing one day down the Salt River, and Tim did not take off his wedding ring and put it in a safe place. While floating down the river, we came to a bit of a rough spot, and Tim's ring was wrested off his hand. Naturally, he was very upset about this. He wanted to have the power company shut down the river so he could get his ring. That didn't happen. Later that summer, unbeknownst to him, I took my wedding ring to a jeweler's and had it split in half, and then gave him that half of a ring for his wedding ring. God, it's been 12 years, it just still hurts. Anyway, after Tim passed away, I took his ring and brought it home, and a couple of months later, it disappeared. I'd been keeping it on my dresser in a little box with my own ring, and it just wasn't there anymore. No idea what happened to it. Sometime later, about a year and a half later, I was vacuuming various parts of the house and was going under the bed in the middle bedroom, and right there, smack dab in the middle, underneath the bed in that room, was the ring. Where'd it come from? I don't know. It just showed up. I took both rings to Berlin Jewelers, who are great people, and had them put back together into one ring. I kept the dividing line to show that the two rings are now one. It's surprising how emotional I got. I was verklempt and could hardly talk, and this is my ring.
And finally, now we have a video from Stephanie Vidmosko.
Hello all. Good morning. My name is Stephanie. I go by she, they, their pronouns. I'm a lesbian. I came out in my early 30s, about 1987. At the time, the AIDS epidemic, AZT had just been found to be helpful with the fight against AIDS. It was a time where the general public wasn't supportive to homosexuals. People would lose their children in custody battles solely because of their homosexuality. They'd lose their jobs because of homosexuality. People were placed in psychiatric units and given electroconvulsive shock therapy in an effort to cure them from homosexuality. Before electroconvulsive therapy, people were given lobotomies where probes would be placed into their lobes of the brain to remove the homosexuality portions, burn them right out. Coming out was a huge event. Coming out was an event you prepared for every time you did it, whether it be with your cousin, your mother, your school teacher, your employer, your best friend, another lesbian. It was something you prepared for. And it was something that took an effort, was frightening and rewarding and strength building. I chose to come out to few friends and family, and of course to other lesbians. I was a single parent at the time. I was responsible for myself, my daughter, and my home, and didn't feel taking the risk of coming out to a large group was a wise decision at that time. So coming out was not a big, huge public event for me until later. And although, having said a little bit about the hardships that we faced back then, we found ways to support each other. We found groups, we formed groups, there were potlucks, there were festivals, there were bookstores where you would go and hear lectures and find friends and be comfortable with people, with other lesbians. There were magazines. There was Lesbian Connections, a magazine that you would receive through the mail every month, wrapped in a brown newspaper wrapping so that other people weren't aware that you were a lesbian and receiving lesbian mail. There was a huge festival every summer up in Michigan. 7,000 women would attend. 98% of that population of women who were attending were lesbians. We ran workshops. We ran daycare for each other. We built roads. We put in plumbing, electricity. For 10 days out of the year, it was lesbian heaven for us, and we let loose. So there was support amongst each other, and it was a great support. You were with like-minded people. You didn't have to hide a thing from them, and you can discuss things that the general population just couldn't understand. I'm glad that today in our society that there's more acceptance, that people coming out are greeted with arms that are just a wee bit more open than what we experienced. Pride marches have taken on a whole different role now. Back then, it was a fight. It was a fight. It was a cause, and we were there. One of the causes that we need to be there for today is for our trans brothers and sisters. Our trans brothers and sisters are experiencing incredible prejudice and blocks that they just don't deserve. So at this time, it's important to link arm in arm with our trans brothers and sisters and fight the fight that we fought years ago and make sure that their rights are in place soon. Have a great Sunday. Have a great Pride Day. Love you all. Bye.
Well, big gratitude to all of the queer elders who shared themselves with us today. We are so lucky to have all of you in our community and to have your wisdom guiding us. Appreciate how open you all were. It is not always easy or even possible for queer folks to be open about their lives. Sometimes being open or not has been a question of survival. So let's close our service by singing about survival. Feel free to stand or to stay seated. Sebastian, kick us off. I could never live without you by my side. I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. I grew should have changed my stupid lock. Should have made you leave your key if I'd known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh, no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give. I will survive. I will survive. Hey, hey. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart. Kept trying to find the missing pieces of my broken heart. And I spent so many nights feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high and you see me, somebody new. I'm not that chained up little person still in love with you. And so you felt like dropping in. You expect me to be free. Now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh, no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give. I will survive. I will survive. Hey. Thank you all so much. So we've reached the end of our worship service. Adult and children's activities begin at noon, and coffee hour is ready already in the Johnson Room. Remember, as long as we know how to love, I know we'll stay alive. Go in peace, go in love. 1, 2, 3, and...